Alright, this video is going to be recorded with the iPhone. Why I've decided to do this, I had it in my hand, so. Alright, this is the concluding my series with guide dogs. So, let's talk about this. Guide dogs, because we covered restaurants, guide dogs, and other service dogs. So, as you're aware, I wanted to actually go over the laws here. So we are going to do that. So therefore I'm going to grab a phone here and we're going to have some factual evidence here. Let me go here. So I'm Alright, so I have what are the federal laws that require air travel, restaurants, etc. to allow guide dogs?
Federal laws impose various requirements.
Okay. So we're going to use Gemini. So we're going to use Gemini Live, so I don't have to hold the button down. Here we go. Go home, and then we'll do this. Pardon me here. Speaking of which, alright, so we're gonna do this.
Hello, how can I help you?
Alright, so what are the laws that have to do with guide dogs and air travel?
In the United States, airlines are generally required to allow trained service dogs to fly in the cabin with their handlers at no charge. You may need to provide a Department of Transportation form attesting to the dog's health, training, and behavior. The dog must remain under control and fit in your foot space during the flight. Are you thinking about traveling with a guide dog?
So I'm going over a topic here, and isn't it based off of what the federal government and what has been implemented, not someone's emotional feelings if they're frustrated because they see a dog?
That's right. The federal regulations under the Air Carrier Access Act take precedence. Airlines aren't permitted to deny transport to a guide dog just because another passenger is uncomfortable, fearful, or has allergies. They're supposed to find a way to accommodate both people, like by providing distance between them in the cabin. Is there a specific scenario you're considering?
So my scenario is if I were to get another guide dog and were to travel, I'm thinking if I had the proper documentation, the airlines are not supposed to refuse me as a blind person.
That's essentially correct. As long as your guide dog meets the definition of a service animal and you provide the required documentation, the airline must allow the dog in the cabin with you. The only reasons they could refuse are if the dog behaves disruptively, poses a direct threat to others' safety, or violates health regulations for the destination. Does that help clarify the situation for you?
Definitely. And what if I were taking my dog to a restaurant because I chose to go eat?
Under the Federal Americans with Disabilities Act, restaurants are required to allow service dogs to accompany their handlers in all areas where the public is allowed. This applies to both indoor and outdoor seating, and they generally can't charge extra fees. The dog must be under control, typically using a harness or leash, and they aren't allowed to sit on chairs or be fed at the table. Is there a particular restaurant you have in mind?
No, we're just going over some topics here. So also, what if I take a dog to a hotel and I take it into the eating area or the dining room? Is the hotel allowed to refuse me?
No, the hotel can't refuse you. Because the dining area is open to the public, they must allow your service dog to come with you there as well. The same rules apply. The dog must be under control and not disruptive. Are there any other public areas in a hotel you were curious about?
So what if I decide to take rideshare? Example, Waymo, Uber, and Lyft. I've ran into where drivers think that since it's their contract, they have the right to refuse me. Is this correct or no?
No, that's not correct. Rideshare drivers, even though they are independent contractors, are still required by federal law to transport passengers with service animals. Uber and Lyft have policies that explicitly prohibit discrimination based on service animals, and drivers who violate this can be permanently deactivated. Have you had specific issues very recently?
When I had Winston, my dog, yes. So another question for you is, based off of what the general public's feelings are they non and void when it comes to federal regulations with guide dogs?
Yes, that's exactly right. Public sentiment, whether it's frustration, fear, or allergies, generally doesn't override the legal protections for service animals under federal law. Those regulations are in place to ensure equal access, no matter how other people feel. Is there another area you wanted to consider?
So, no, it actually covers everything. Thank you.
You're very welcome. I'm glad I could help clarify the regulations for you. If anything else comes up, just let me know.
And there you have it. It doesn't matter your feelings. It doesn't matter how you feel. It doesn't matter, unfortunately, I said unfortunately, you got bit by a dog. If it was your fault or the handler's lack of control, the handler's lack of inserting their pack dominance because they are the lead and not understanding how a dog's behaviors in the wild with packs, because you as a person that are sighted to have a guide dog, have a dog, do not understand that you are the pack leader. So if you allow the dog, which is your responsibility, to bite another dog, then it affects. So we're going to cover another issue here, and I think we're going to bring this back up. Okay, and we're going to do this here.
Hello, how can I help you?
So hi, quick question for you. So what's the difference between a guide dog and someone who decides to have a emotional support dog who isn't as trained extensively as a guide dog, a diabetes dog, or any legit service dog?
A guide dog or other service dog is trained to do specific work to help a person with a disability. Emotional support dogs, on the other hand, provide comfort but aren't trained for specific tasks, and they don't usually have the same legal protections. Does that make sense?
Yes, so 100%. So with that stated, if a dog that's quote-unquote emotional support is barking or yapping at a guide dog or another official service dog, that to me would state that really looks bad on us guide dog owners or those who have used them in the past.
You're right. It can create a negative perception for everyone. When untrained animals misbehave in public, it can make it harder for people who rely on service dogs to gain access, and can even distract the service dog from doing its job, which is definitely problematic. Is there a specific situation you're thinking about?
Yeah, so I went to, I believe it was Target, and this little dog that was sitting in this lady's lap, she swore up and down was a service dog, was yapping at my beloved standard poodle named Winston.
Oh, that sounds frustrating, and I can see why you'd worry about the reputation of trained service dogs. It sounds like Winston was behaving properly as a service dog, while the other dog was causing a disruption. Was anyone at Target staff aware of what was happening?
No, they just flat out ignored it. This unfortunately happens a lot.
That's really unfortunate, because under the ADA, businesses are actually allowed to ask a person with a disruptive service animal to remove the dog if they can't regain control of it. It's tough when that doesn't happen, and it creates a difficult situation for responsible handlers like you. Is there anything specific you'd like to know about those guidelines?
No, you've been very helpful. Actually, I've been using you to answer questions for a video I'm going to post on my YouTube.
Oh, that's interesting. I'm glad I can help you gather information for your video. What's your video gonna be about?
The topics we've been discussing, which is guide dog and etiquette and laws.
That sounds like a really helpful topic for a video. Educating people on the difference between service animals and emotional support animals and the proper etiquette around guide dogs can make a real difference. Good luck with the posting.
Thank you. All right.
You're welcome. Let me know if it's...
All right, so let's go. All right, so as you heard earlier, when you bang a drum and you say, well, I feel my service dog, my emotional support dog is a service dog. That doesn't matter. What matters is what service is that emotional dog providing. Is it when you drop an item, if you're in a wheelchair, i.e. a mobility aid, so you can get around, does that dog pick up the item that got dropped and hand it to you and put it in your hand? Does that dog, when you get tired of pushing your wheelchair, does that dog pull you to really and listen to you as you're guiding? What service is the dog providing? And that is the true definition of what we just went over the service dogs. Hope you like this video, and it's different. But again, my videos aren't about your emotions. They're about facts. And it's high time we hold people accountable.